Well, a week ago, Donald Trump won such a large percentage of the blue-collar vote that even the Hillary campaign seemed surprised by it. One person who definitely was not shocked is our next guest. He's a former Democratic senator from the state of Virginia who some believe may wind up in the Trump administration. He is former Senator Jim Webb, and he joins us right here on the set. Senator, it's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
So you haven't said who you voted for. You think it's private. You're not for Hillary, and you gave a speech today to the American Conservative, sponsored by them. So we can assume you're at least not hostile to the president-elect. So the question that people are trying to unravel in Washington is how exactly did the Democrats lose their hold on the white working class, which they claimed for generations?
Well, I've been talking about this since before I even ran, and that the base of the Democratic Party used to be working people, regardless of race, ethnic identity, or sexual orientation, et cetera. That was the Roosevelt agenda. Exactly. That was the Truman agenda. And over time, and I think particularly over the last 8 years, the Democratic Party has moved into interest group politics, and in many cases, white working people have become the whipping posts, or were. And I think what you saw in this election here is white working people in these rural areas seeing that someone actually was articulating the fact that they had become disenfranchised, and that's why they gravitated toward Trump, in my view.
And it's considered embarrassing here in Washington to take up the cause of that group. And a lot of analysts are thinking, well, why would they align with a billionaire from Manhattan? In your speech today, you said something I thought really interesting. And we'll put it on the screen if we could. You said more than 60% of immigrants from China and India to the United States have college degrees, while fewer than 20% of whites from areas such as Appalachia have college degrees. But to be white is, in the law and in so much of our misinformed debate, to be specially advantaged, privileged, as the slogan goes, while being a so-called minority is to be somehow disadvantaged. And you go on to say, why wouldn't people in Kentucky be offended by that stupid premise?
Well, I think what has happened, I mentioned in there, is that from the Immigration Act of 1965 forward, the ethnic and racial makeup of the country has dramatically changed. But the laws with respect to affirmative action and diversity have not. I mean, the laws were originally designed to help African Americans move away from what they call the badges of slavery. It was a 13th Amendment, a slavery amendment. Yes. It is expanded to the point where it's anybody who doesn't happen to be white was included in these diversity programs. And you see a natural reaction. You know, I mentioned Clay County, Kentucky, the poorest county in America, known as the poorest county in America, is 94% white, and wouldn't, if you were in that county with a 40% poverty rate, wouldn't you think this is reverse discrimination?
But you're privileged.
And not just that.
But you're privileged. I mean, Hillary Clinton said explicitly, you're privileged just by virtue of your skin color.
Well, she's not the only person who has said that. That's sort of become a mantra, and it's affected, I think, the affinity of white working people toward the Democratic Party in a negative way.
So I think what you're saying is a lot of these voters, regardless of how they felt about Trump, were so alienated by the Democratic Party and its views and its policies that they just couldn't vote Democrat.
Well, you know, you have a lot of people now who are analyzing what happened, and some are saying, well, it's the economy. It's not just the economy. It's not just guns. It's not just even the evangelicals with respect to their vote. It's a dignity issue, and it's also a fairness issue with respect to how they see the government working.
Huh. What do you mean fairness? Fairness
in terms of government policies. When you have diversity programs that exclude people simply because they are white, and white cultures are very stratified, by the way. The white, you know, when you have a racial makeup for your statistics, people tend to forget that the people at the bottom in terms of income and education have been frozen out of a lot of stuff in this country.
So my last question, you were a Democrat, represented obviously the Commonwealth of Virginia as a Democrat. I think you still are a Democrat so far as I know. What do your friends in the Democratic Party say when you say things like that?
I've been saying it for a long time. You know, you know, there were years ago. I made an example in a speech today. Years ago, they were talking about how you get the white working vote, and they put up pieces of legislation rather than. What I said to them is, this isn't that complicated. They don't align themselves with the Democratic Party because they don't think Democrats like them. Yeah. And I think what we're seeing right now, finally, is the ability to discuss this issue in an age of political correctness where you can't even say the word white working people without having someone blanch.
Right. That's a shame. Senator, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good view.